Have you ever experienced that strange moment when everything around you seems slightly off? That fleeting sensation where reality itself feels questionable? Perhaps you've found yourself lying awake at night, staring at the ceiling, wondering if there's something more to our existence than what meets the eye. If so, you're not alone, and you're in good company. From ancient philosophers to modern physicists, brilliant minds throughout history have questioned the fundamental nature of reality. Today, we're diving into one of philosophy's most fascinating thought experiments. Could our entire reality, everything you see, feel, and experience, be nothing more than an elaborate simulation? This isn't just science fiction anymore. It's a serious philosophical question with profound implications for how we understand consciousness, reality, and our place in the universe. What I find most compelling about simulation theory isn't just the mind-bending technological aspects, but how it connects to age-old questions about perception and reality that humans have wrestled with for millennia. By the end of this video, you'll understand not only why some of the world's leading thinkers take this possibility seriously, but also how considering this perspective might change how you view your own existence. The simulation hypothesis has roots that stretch back much further than you might expect. Long before the digital age, philosophers were questioning whether reality was what it appeared to be. Let's begin with Plato's famous allegory of the cave from ancient Greece. Plato asked us to imagine prisoners chained in a cave, facing a blank wall their entire lives. Behind them burns a fire, and between the fire and prisoners is a raised walkway where people carry objects. The prisoners see only the shadows cast on the wall, not reality itself, yet they believe these shadows constitute the entirety of existence. Sound familiar? This 2,400-year-old allegory presents a fundamental question that simulation theorists still grapple with today. How can we know that what we perceive as reality isn't merely a shadow or projection of some deeper truth? Fast forward to the 17th century, and we find René Descartes contemplating whether an evil demon might be deceiving him about everything he experiences. Descartes' famous conclusion, "I think, therefore I am," emerged from this radical doubt. He realized that while he could doubt the external world, he couldn't doubt the existence of his own consciousness, the very thing doing the doubting. This tension between the certainty of our subjective experience and the uncertainty about objective reality remains central to simulation theory discussions. In more recent times, the simulation hypothesis has been formalized by philosophers like Nick Bostrom in his influential 2003 paper. Bostrom proposed that one of three possibilities must be true. Either advanced civilizations tend to go extinct before developing simulation technology, they lose interest in running such simulations, or we are almost certainly living in a simulation. His argument is based on the computational theory of mind and the trajectory of our own technological development. Consider how far video games have advanced in just a few decades, from pen to photorealistic virtual worlds. If technology continues to advance at even a fraction of its current pace, creating fully immersive simulated realities seems inevitable. And if it's possible to create one simulation, why not billions? Statistically speaking, if there could be countless simulated realities, but only one base reality, the odds that we happen to be in the one real reality become vanishingly small. Before we continue exploring these fascinating perspectives, I want to take a moment to invite those of you who are enjoying this discussion to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. Each week, we tackle thought-provoking topics just like this one, examining the big questions from multiple angles and always with nuance. Your subscription helps this community of curious minds grow and ensures you never miss our next philosophical exploration. Now, let's consider the scientific perspective on simulation theory. Interestingly, some physicists have suggested that certain quirks in quantum mechanics might actually support the simulation hypothesis. The observer effect, where particles appear to behave differently when observed, and the quantized nature of reality at its smallest scales both resemble how video games render only what's necessary to conserve processing power. Theoretical physicist James Gates discovered error-correcting codes embedded in the equations of string theory, the same type of codes used in computer programming to detect and fix errors. This strange coincidence led him to suggest that perhaps these mathematical structures aren't just describing our universe, but are fundamental to its construction. However, many scientists remain skeptical. Creating a simulation detailed enough to replicate our universe would require computational power beyond what we can currently imagine. Every atom, every interaction, every consciousness would need to be precisely modeled. And if we are in a simulation, who created the simulators? Are they themselves in a simulation? This leads to an infinite regression problem that some philosophers find troubling. The simulation hypothesis also raises profound questions about consciousness. If we are simulated beings, does that make our consciousness less real? The philosopher David Chalmers argues no. Even if we're in a simulation, our experiences remain genuine. Consider how you feel emotions, have meaningful relationships, and contemplate your existence. Would learning you're in a simulation invalidate these experiences? Chalmers suggests that a simulated consciousness is still consciousness, just as simulated pain still hurts. There is also an intriguing connection between simulation theory and various religious and spiritual traditions. Many religions describe reality as the creation or dream of a higher consciousness or divine being. Eastern philosophies like Advaita Vedanta speak of Maya, the illusion of the physical world, and Buddhism emphasizes that our perception of reality is fundamentally an illusion constructed by our minds. These ancient wisdom traditions were grappling with similar questions about the nature of reality long before computers existed. If we are in a simulation, what ethical implications might this have? Some argue it shouldn't change how we live at all. Simulated suffering is still suffering, and simulated joy is still joy. Others suggest it might give our lives even greater purpose, as we could be part of a grand experiment or a learning opportunity for the civilization running the simulation. The simulation hypothesis also offers a potential solution to certain philosophical and scientific puzzles. The fine-tuning problem, why the fundamental constants of our universe seem perfectly calibrated for life, makes sense if our reality was designed with inhabitants in mind. The simulation hypothesis might also explain the Fermi paradox, why, despite the statistical likelihood of abundant intelligent life in our universe, we haven't detected any. Perhaps the simulation simply hasn't rendered them, or they exist in different simulations altogether. What would count as evidence that we are in a simulation? Some suggest we should look for glitches in the matrix or computational artifacts, patterns that reveal the underlying code of reality. Others propose that the simulation might have built-in limitations to conserve processing power, such as a minimum time interval, similar to a frame rate, or a maximum speed for information transfer, perhaps the speed of light itself. As we wrap up today's exploration, I want to acknowledge that there's no definitive answer to whether we're living in a simulation. What matters more than the answer itself is the journey of questioning, of looking beyond the surface of reality and considering different perspectives on existence. Whether our universe is real, in the conventional sense, or a sophisticated simulation, our experiences, connections, and quest for understanding remain meaningful. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this topic. Do you find the simulation hypothesis compelling? What aspects of our reality make you question its nature? Drop a comment below and let's continue this fascinating conversation together. If you enjoyed this philosophical journey, please hit that like button. It really helps the channel reach more curious minds. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing for more thought-provoking discussions on consciousness, reality, and the biggest questions we face as thinking beings. Check the description for ways you can support the channel so we can keep bringing you content that challenges conventional thinking and explores the boundaries of human understanding. Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and remember that sometimes the most valuable insights come from being willing to consider that reality might be very different from what it appears to be.